Today on Gamer's Couch.
Dead of Winter. Hello, and let me preface before you misunderstand our poor German English. It's not Father Frost we're talking about the recently deceased people of winter. It's not the super dad of winter.
But you know, yesterday it was, or the day before it was spring equinox, so the dead of winter actually fits perfectly on the couch today. So welcome to our couch. Hope you had a great week, and we're starting by, in case you don't know this channel by now, but why are you new? You should watch us. Why? No, for reals. Welcome to the channel if you're new, otherwise, nice to see you again, right? So we're going to gameplay rules first, then talking about what we liked and did maybe not like about the game. And lastly, we will go into funny stories and experiences that we might have had with the game. And we try to stay under 1 hour. We pretty much discarded the 30 minutes goal. We're never gonna make it, so let's focus on less than an hour. Okay, so lovely husband, please tell us about Dead of Winter.
Welcome into a very bleak, very cold, and very deadly future. You and all the other players are survivors trying to fend off the hordes of the dead, zombies, and try to survive each day by completing, well, various tasks. Dead of Winter is a cooperative game at first. There are some rules in there that also turn it into a traitor game, but that is not a guarantee. But let's get started with the simple stuff first. You will be living in this Sunnyside bungalow. No, it's a colony. I think it's a school or something.
It's a colony. The school is outside.
Yeah, you have the colony here where all you guys will be living. Well, in fact, it's this place, or more specifically, these fields where your dudes will be standing. Now, while in the colony, you have to, do some certain tasks each turn, and you may also venture out of the colony to different locations and places, like the gas station, or the hospital.
Or the library, because you gotta read.
Or the Quickie Mart, or, sorry, copyright. It's the supermarket.
The police station, I'm sorry.
Oh, did Mr. Homer.
And of course, the school. God, you're off to a good start.
No.
Already make me giggle.
So, what's the challenge? The challenge is this. Each turn, the starting player, who has the starting player knife, which I really like.
It's the greatest ever.
Will draw a crisis card. To nobody's surprise, the crisis card is always negative. And not only is it negative, but it shows you what you have to do. And in most cases, it says something like, well, you have to contribute cards with that kind of symbol for each player that's on the table, and it has not been banned so far. And that is typically cards that represent fuel, or food, or medicine, and sometimes tools or weapons. So assuming you're playing a 4-player game, in most cases it means every player has to play one card to contribute to, solving that crisis. Cards that do not match, maybe I'll go into that a little bit later, but these cards that you're playing those face down, so nobody actually sees which card you played. Because if you play a card that does not match the symbol, it gets deduced, not deducted, like I said last time, because that is wrong English, and I know that by now. No,
you were Sherlocking.
Yeah.
That's valid.
You may deduct after the
deducing.
Who it was who placed that card, but you may not know for sure. So, if you've played games like Battlestar Galactica, you may be familiar with that. In these crises, are tremendously simple as a gameplay mechanic. It just means, well, you have a couple of cards on hand and you contribute cards from your hand to meet the goal, and hopefully you'll make it. If you overshoot it by some certain amount, you might get additional benefits, like the how do you lose the game? Well, quite simply, either you run out of turns or you run out of morale. If either of those happens, the game ends immediately. There may be other conditions to lose the game depending on the scenario you're playing, but that's kind of the overall thing. So your turn is typically you start, draw a crisis card, and then you start performing actions, followed by every other player who is allowed to perform certain actions. And if every player has done their actions, there's a kind of cleanup phase where you will count out, do we have enough cards to solve the crisis, or are we lacking some? Do we have more than we need? And so on. So the actions you may take, or any other player may take, that also kind of depends on how many survivors you have and what you're generally doing. So the thing is this: if you start the turn, or at the beginning of the turn, every player rolls as many of these six-sided, very typical dice, one for each of their survivors, and you typically have two, or you may find more, and one for yourself. So you will always have at least one die at your disposal, or at least two dice.
You gotta have a character.
You'll have a character.
Yeah, somehow.
And then you can spend those dice to perform actions with your characters. Some actions don't actually require you to spend dice, like playing a card from your hand. Some actions just require you to spend any die, regardless of what you roll. And some actions will require you to spend at least a die with a face value of a certain amount, depending on the skill you want to use. And these are typically things you can do, things that don't require a die, but you may only be limited to once per character, is moving a character from, let's say, the colony to maybe the supermarket or some other place. Actions where you have to spend a die is, for example, taking out the trash, which we'll get to in a minute. Or actions that require to have a certain value is, for example, attacking a zombie or searching for loot, and that is also depending on what's your character. In this case, it's Sparky the show dog, or Daniel Smith the sheriff, and these characters.
You're a sheriff?
Smith.
Oh.
These characters come with little stats, and those determine which dice you have to spend. So you not so much have to roll in the moment to meet a certain target value. You just use them as resources for your turn, and if you roll poorly, you're quite limited at what you can do, but you can always do the actions that just require you to spend any kind of die. Other things you may do, as I said, you may take out the trash. Why? Because if the trash is getting too full, and that is essentially your discard pile, whenever you play a card from your hand, it goes into the trash. And if the trash has 10 or more cards in there, you'll get -1 morale for every 10 cards in there. So at some point, someone actually has to take out the trash, which, well, I think can kind of neatly shows you how maybe epidemics may spread, or how people feel uncomfortable living in a garbage bin, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh. Well, you got to take the trash out every 2 days, so
yeah,
go from there.
Yeah. The overall goal to winning the game, again, depends on the scenario, and you have multiple different scenario cards that all come usually with a little prologue intro from the manual that explains you the story behind this, and then it will tell you how to set up the board and what's the winning condition, and in these cases it also actually tells you how long it is supposed to take, obviously give or take depending on the number of players you're playing with. But Yeah, so it's these could be anything, like you have to kill a certain amount of zombies, and for each zombie you kill, roll a die, and if you roll a certain number, put a token on this card. If you get up to 10 tokens, you win the game. Or some other things we had. Everybody, for example, needs to have a weapon on at least one character, needs to have food, and needs to have, I think, gasoline.
Yeah.
To get ready to move out of the colony into, well, hopefully greener pastures, and so on. Now, the interesting part about all of this is that at the beginning of the game, each player also draws hidden agenda cards, and this is German for, well, hidden. It's
And
geheim.
there's your German lesson of the day.
These hidden agenda cards give
Secret.
you usually say something like, you have to fulfill the group mission, like the mission card you selected at the beginning, and one or more additional conditions. Some things may be very simple, like at the end of the game, you just have to have a certain card on hand.
Or multiple of those.
Some may be even more difficult by saying you are not allowed to have a certain type of kind of card on your hand. And making things generally more interesting, especially if you're going to the how are we solving the crisis and someone is arguing, well, I really like to contribute all the fuel I have, like I have full hand of fuel, but I cannot because my hidden agenda forces me to. Yeah, that sounds fishy. That may be because some of these agenda cards that are secret come with the little Verrat. And
Second German lesson of the day.
And now, if you ever watched Grimm, the TV show, you know that Verrat is some weird German group trying to take over the world, or it just means traitor. In this case, it means traitor, or well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
traitor is pretty much it.
Well, that's a verräter. I'm thinking what Verrat is in English. Back to you in a second.
The thing that a traitor does, like the verb, and then you make it a noun, and that's Verrat.
Yeah, it's like the backstab, or
yeah. I'm searching.
So at the beginning of the game, you will create a deck of these secret agenda cards by picking 2 cards per player, and then also adding in one random of these traitor cards. So it could be that there's a traitor in the game.
Treason. Treason, treachery, sellout, betrayal. Yeah.
Oh, and Gamers Couch.
And Gamers Couch.
Because we cheat by editing. So these cards may be in the deck. They must not necessarily be in the game. So whenever a player is arguing, well, my agenda card kind of prevents me from helping us win this thing or keep things from going to a really bad state, it could also be that they are a traitor. And then you as a group may also decide to exile him or her and shut them out of the colony so that they now may live in the garbage bin next to the supermarket together with the zombies. And then they throw middle fingers at you because they don't like you very much anymore. No, what happens then is if you get exiled, you get to learn your 3rd German word today, which is Verband, or banned, the Banhammer card. That card will then alter your goals. So it may make things easier, it may make things more complicated. Typically, these are, again, working towards not helping the others and trying to prevent them from doing certain things. Now, given that these locations we talked about earlier are all around the place, and each of these have a very specific end, especially a deck that may end of cards, of loot cards that you may draw. So there's stacks of these cards, and most of them have noted down here which deck they belong to. So there is a definitive deck of cards for the supermarket, one for the police station, and so on. The reason for that is looking at the locations, you see that there's an order of how often certain types of cards are there. So the police station is way more prone to have weapons, while the supermarket will have more food and medicine, and so on. Now, if you're a traitor, you might go there and, for example, try to scavenge all the weapons for yourself so that the others don't have them, so that they have a harder time to defend themselves against the zombies, or in some other way try to influence their game. But your new goal card will tell you how that works out. That may also say you win the game if morale goes to 0. So instead of everybody losing, then you are the only one who wins. But as I said, it's not guaranteed that there is a traitor in the game. And unlike games like Battlestar Galactica, you don't start drawing more of these secret agenda cards. You'll stick to the one you draw at the beginning of the game. There's one more mechanic in here that makes things interesting and stand out a little bit more in comparison to other cooperative games where you would just try to grab your cards, try to solve the crises, and then exile people you don't like. And that's these wonderful so-called crossroad cards. The way that works is whenever it's your turn, the player to your right draws one of these cards, and each of these cards have a condition written as the first kind of sentence or on top, saying if this or that happens, smack the active player in the face, preventing them from doing any further move, and then read to them in a booming voice what this card is saying. Afterwards, the active player may decide what happens. Now, I don't want to really spoil any of these cards because they make up the more interesting part of the game. These are pretty much story events that happen seemingly at random, and triggers for that could be if this or that character is in your group, or if the active player is moving towards the colony, if someone is yawning at the table, or if someone just spent a food token, and so on and so on. So there's different triggers to go on with all these things. And while I was mentioning food tokens, it's not only your survivors that you have to keep alive. You also will have anonymous people in the colony that are just these little markers trying to tell you these are useless, like elder people, children, not fit for scavenging, just useless in terms of trying to get goods to survive. They may be very useful in some other things, but not in the context of the challenges that you have to solve in this game. They still require food, however. So at the end of each round, so if, after every player has done their turn, you have to see if you have enough food in your storage to feed every survivor. That means your survivors as well as those useless guys that are hanging around in the colony. If you don't, they start to starve and they get pissed, so again you lose morale.
Yeah, pretty much. I think this is the starving token, is it?
Yeah.
So it's pretty much logic and empty can.
The starvation token is also really bad because the first time you have people starving, they are pissed a little bit, but you will only lose 1 morale. And the next time that happens, you start losing morale for each token, each of those starvation tokens you have in your storage area, meaning that things get progressively bad.
Yeah.
And as if things weren't bad enough, this game is terrible at, it's actually really good at making your life miserable through a multitude of things. For one, if you travel from one place to another, you have to roll the cursed red die. The best face on this die is the one that shows nothing. All the other phases either cause you a wound or frostbite, which is like a damage over time effect, where you get a wound and then you get another one until someone cures you. Or you may roll the little tooth, which means a zombie bites you and your character instantly dies. And whenever a character dies, guess what? Yeah, you guessed right, morale goes down. So you may lose this game fairly quickly if someone is really bad at rolling this die, and you still have to move out to locations to be able to grab cards and equipment and make things easier. So there's that. To make things even worse, if you roll one of these "you've got bitten" symbols and moved into an area with other survivors, then you get to decide: do you want to kill the other survivor that's or the most unpopular survivor at that location to prevent the disease from spreading, or do you want to take your chances and roll a die? If you roll badly, he dies anyway, and then you continue going on to decide: do you want to kill the next survivor, or do you want to roll a die? And that makes some interesting group dynamics.
Oh yeah.
Some other actions you can do, or surprisingly for a zombie survival game, there's not a lot of zombies showing up so far. Now, there are zombies in this game, most in the form of this ugly cheerleader. Well, maybe not a cheerleader, but...
yeah, or the perv dude.
Yeah. So these guys are not as terrible as they may seem at first glance, but with numbers they get quite annoying. Each location has some of these biohazard things. That's actually the location where you will put a zombie. Zombies will get added to the board at the end of each round, where we will take a look at how many survivors are there. The more there, the more zombies will go there. There are other effects that may draw more zombies to certain locations. For example, if you search for loot and don't find what you want to find, you can grab the next card and pick one of those, but you'll make noise, and noise forces you to roll a die to see if zombies find that you're there and will come meet and join the party.
Help you search.
The colony also has actually a bunch of these locations where you can put zombies, which will take some time to fill up. But the bad thing is, whenever locations are full and another zombie would have been placed there, you lose a survivor, or a useless survivor for that matter, to the zombie instead of being killed. One way to combat zombies is to place these barricade tokens, which is an action that costs a die, and it is pretty straightforward in that it means if you would place a zombie on that field, you remove the barricade and the zombie, and all is good. Of course, you can fight the zombie by punching them in the face whenever you spend a die that matches your combat skill. That depends obviously on the character. Now the bad news is, if you fight a zombie with your bare fists, you have a chance of getting bitten. Our friend the red die will come back at you, so you have to roll whenever you kill the zombie. Best way to actually get around that is either build barricades or, try to find weapons. Weapons usually allow you to kill zombies either more efficiently, or at least kill them without the penalty of having to roll the red die.
Or more than one in one go.
Yeah, that's...
You got like the super pump gun that shoots through the first zombie into the second, kills them instantly. Lovely bloodbath.
And is unfortunately loud enough to attract more zombies.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Yeah. Things are quite dire, but not impossible in this game. There's sometimes good things happening, like crossroad cards or event cards that bring you more survivors. And more survivors also mean you have more dice to spend on actions. But more survivors also mean more food. And if, well, the guy who has the most survivors also has maybe the traitor agenda, you might get royally screwed. But that's the game in a nutshell. It's I know I keep repeating myself in these videos, but it is not terribly complicated as individual mechanics. This game is certainly more about the interactions between players, by trying to figure out how do you survive this turn, how do you get to the next turn, how do you at least try to resolve the crisis. Is there a traitor at the table, or are people just really bad at playing their cards, or are they just plain stupid? Some of these things we won't find out. Maybe
until the end of the game.
Maybe you're playing the game with a zombie who's not really good at playing his cards.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But that's pretty much the first section. Check! And now we go into what we liked and disliked about the game. And I would ask you to please pass me the lid. Please. Now, in a reasonable amount of time, thank you. So, you might ask why I need this. But what I liked a lot about the game is the artwork. And I want to show you on the lid. This is goddamn crazy well done. And you know, the funny thing is when we got the game, we went around the circle and we pretty much found a real living person that looks just like the character. So we got, and I'm sorry if I butcher any names, Shemar Moore, Madonna. This is Jürgen Klopp, a very famous trainer of German soccer team. There you have Tom Hanks, of course. You got Gandalf. I mean,
well,
there's yeah.
No, that's not Gandalf.
No, the other one, the brown one from the Hobbit. Yeah, Radagast. So that's him. So I really, really adore the artwork. It's fucking crazy and so well done. Also, and that goes through the whole game. Like any kind of a component has really, really beautiful artwork on it, and I really like the color schemes that they took. So quite dire, like gray tones, beige tones that really make you feel like after the apocalypse you're really trying to survive. You usually only see those in any kind of war games, but especially around World War II. But this is just really, really well done art-wise. Now, the other thing that I liked a lot once unpacking the game was the quality of the components. I mean, the box itself is super sturdy and really, really nice, done with some matte parts, some glossy parts, and I should have it in the frame. Then you could see, actually. So that's really cool. Also, the board is very sturdy, very well done. It's not wobbly once you unpack it, which happens with some boards, and the feet for the character figurines are actually fitting, which is a nice thing, and sometimes doesn't happen. And the coolest thing is, of course, the first player marker. I mean, this is just hilarious. So well done. Whomever had that idea to make it a knife, bravo. Very, very well done. As far as the gameplay goes, it's a very tense game, which I like a lot. And it takes a bit away of the tenseness because it's a co-op game at first, or it probably is. But you never really know if you have a traitor on board or not. And even if you don't have a traitor, the goals and the crisis you have to solve to actually get through the game are heavy enough to really, just make you tense up and clench your butt and just like, we gotta get there, but I don't know how. And it's really, really, really well done in that case that you're really there at the table. You can't doze off, you can't zone out, you're not really bored, even if it's not your turn, which I like a lot in a game. So All these things are really well done. The only thing I'm not too keen on, but I get that it has to be in the game, and that you're not identifying or getting into the game by that, is don't get attached to the characters. I mean, you play a role, yes, you equip your character with guns and whatnot, and you try to play him or her.
Guns and Roses.
Guns and Roses, yeah. You try to play him or her, but they're probably dead in the second turn, so don't get attached, which is like, no!
They are only dead in the second turn if you're really
if you're me.
With
if you're me. I mean, the character that survived for me the longest was Sparky the show dog. And would
Sparky's special ability, by the way, is if you roll the tooth, he does not die. He just takes
and he doesn't spread the disease either. So he's pretty much a stopper there. But I mean, I like to get attached to the characters I play, and at least to a certain point. But it would have been so great if there would have been an opportunity. But on the other hand, from the mechanics and the way the game works, you can't get attached to them. There's no way they could have changed that.
I think where
it's just, oh, my dog.
Where Zombicide gives you the hero you become attached to, is probably surviving the zombie apocalypse. This game is more along the lines of
10 years later.
No, the Walking Dead in terms of. You have different characters and personalities, but I wouldn't even say that most of them are very likable. It's just they have a background and they get thrown together in the colony, and
What's not to like about Sparky? I mean, I did play the mayor the first game, and he didn't even survive one round. So, and he was goddamn handsome, so I would have liked to play. I would have liked to play him a bit longer, but that sounds dirty. I'm sorry. No, but I mean, that's the only thing where I'm like, I get that you can't have it in the game, and it's fine, but it's like, I would have liked to have a chance to actually be
and the
character.
Chance to roll the tooth
is pretty
a
high.
1 in 8. So that it is not that common that you lose characters on your first turn.
Other than that, it's although there are so many things to the game, so many mechanics, so many tiny steps that you got to do, they are so simple that you are not overwhelmed when you play the game. Even first round, when you learn how to play the game, it's not overwhelming. It's tense because of the theme and because you really feel the crisis. You feel that it's really difficult to achieve whatever you gotta achieve, and still have your secret agenda that you gotta achieve as well. So it's like all the time, but it's not difficult. So there's just a very nice balance about how the game feels and how it actually plays. So it plays very simple, very easy, but it feels really tense and difficult because the goals are so difficult to manage and achieve. And I like that. And that's my 2 cents. And before we go into rating, I want to hear what do you think about the game.
Yeah, I have to agree. I also really like the art style. I also, while I am a fan of plastic minis, I do really like those paper cardboard minis because they look nice. I like the colored version of this, and not having some gray or some weirdly colored minis, which may feel more three-dimensional. But this is not a game about having miniatures. This is a game about being at a location, and I think those guys here convey that better than others.
Yeah.
In terms of if you take out the traitor aspect, in terms of a cooperative game, I think it's okay. Actually, there's variant rules, and they're saying well, here's a way how you can play the game as a co-op game only, and I'm not sure I would want to play that. That also ties into the when we played, we did not run across a traitor card, and I was kind of disappointed. So I'd almost say if so for me playing this game, I'm almost on the fence of saying whenever we play this game, we have to set up the cards that there's a guaranteed traitor at the table. I that is so the in comparison to a game like Battlestar Galactica, what I really like about the game is there's someone at the table who must be the traitor, at least at the beginning of the second round. And here it is, well, someone could be the traitor, but if he is, meh. It's like, if no one has tried to sabotage a crisis card by the second turn, then probably there isn't a traitor, and nobody starts caring that much about that anywhere, and you just try to survive.
Yeah, that's sometimes difficult enough. But we say something about that in the next section. Just tell me what you liked.
But for me, it takes out a lot of the tension that I really like traitor mechanics, and that's having a very slim chance of having a traitor in the game. And I mean, think about this: if you're playing with 4 folks, then you have 8 secret agenda cards plus 1 traitor card. So chances that there's a traitor in the game, yes, they are there, but they're quite slim. And there's no thing in this game where you start pulling more secret agenda cards or have to replace your agenda card with something else that would or could bring a traitor into the game during a later stage. That being said, I like the strategic approach to the cooperative art in terms of that you think about, okay, which characters do we have, and it feels quite puzzly, but then again you still have to roll the die, and things can go horribly sideways, and most of the time it really comes down to feeling like, are we lucky in the cards we draw? Will it be the weapon that we've been looking for that solves all this? Will there be finally food so that we can survive? And that the game for us was more about that struggle than the special abilities of the characters in particular, or having the crossroad cards. I still think that these cards, this mechanic is amazing.
Yeah.
Sadly, they don't show up there very often, because you probably won't have half of the characters that are mentioned in here in your game, or you're just unlucky in terms of you didn't do what they do. I understand that these are meant to add a little bit spice to the game.
The spice that I got was not fun.
But I kind of wish they would show up more, or they would be a bigger part of the game. I'm kind of confused. I do like this game, but this sounds like, hey, you're only complaining about those things. But I really would like to see them utilize the things that are unique and cool about this game more, and add more to the overall experience, and maybe make it more feel like a traitor game. No, that it can be easily done by stacking the deck to increase chances for a traitor being in the game. You could just go and draw 1 card for each player and add a traitor card, and that would raise the chances for having a traitor in the game considerably.
Yeah.
While still maintaining the possibility that there may not be a traitor. But I prefer that being in a, you kind of you're kind of surprised by there not being a traitor, rather than kind of being surprised the other way around, being surprised by, oh, this time we had a traitor in this game. I don't know if there's something one could augment to change to bring more of the crossroad cards into the game. Maybe you could also stack the deck by saying, well, we remove the cards of characters that are not in game, but then during the game you could get those characters, which kind of...
Yeah, but you could put them on the bottom or in the midsection of the stack and have the cards that involve the characters that are on the board more on the top of the deck.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. We might have to try it, but
it just feels I'm just under the impression these are cool things that are going on, and they just appear to be so lightly present in the game.
On the other hand, I mean, I'm with you. On the other hand, I'm thinking, what if you have a guaranteed traitor on the table and have the crossroad cards? Would it be too difficult to actually win the game as a human? Because those suckers really interrupt the gameplay and you trying to achieve whatever goal you gotta achieve. So if you have the traitor who will probably sabotage that round of whatever you gotta collect, and you have the crossroad in one turn, you're probably screwed. So
but the crossroad cards can be positive as well. There's not only negative ones.
Yeah, but how many? It's like 50-50 in there, or more like 20 good ones, 80% bad ones?
Well, you get to decide which option to take, so...
Yeah,
I'd say
most of the cards we had were bad ones. We had one or two good ones.
Most of the cards were, you can get either this, but you have to pay that, or nothing happens. That seemed to be the...
Yeah. Anyways, I'm just wondering if both mechanics, if you would stack them, if it wouldn't be too much.
It could be that...
but it could be like one of them stacked is like the perfect
obviously
mixture.
The game was balanced for this setup. But yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, and I have to say, I'm happy that there's another game that is not sci-fi and plays in an entirely different setting, which is cool to have, just to be able to have more options, more variation while playing this. Yeah.
One thing that I want to ask you, because I didn't look at it, you read the rules. How was the manual on that game? Was it okay? Was it extraordinarily well done or bad?
You may have come under the impression there's a lot of different things going on, but the manual pretty much walks you through the turn and says, well, there's all those different options. Each player has a little mat that also very easily shows you how a turn is played, and if there are questions, you can always look up the specific section how an action is done. It's not that terribly complicated. So
you were not... I mean, we're bitching about manuals like all the time, so I just wanted to ask if it was an okay one, so that it actually stands out for being a good one.
I think we had once or twice a situation where I was looking for a very specific thing and did not find it in the index and had to go through all the pages to find it again. But I don't even remember what that was. That being said, I do not remember being annoyed by this manual. That's
good.
Yeah, I'd say it's all right.
Yeah, so let's go into rating and then talk a bit about the games that we played and the experience that we had with the thing that is the Dead of Winter. So how would you rate?
This clearly gets 2 barricades and an empty food can on a scale of 2 starter knives.
Oh, that's lovely. Great. Is it fish cans or veggies? Doesn't matter?
It doesn't come with a label.
Oh, okay. So with me, it's I'd say a 9.5 on a scale of 1 to awesome. It's not a solid 10 because there's that thing that you so nicely explained and about the crossroad cards and the must-have traitor, which is, yeah, it could benefit the game, so there's a bit more room to have on the scale that you could maybe enhance by house ruling. Yeah. So that's why. But a 9.5 on my scale is pretty good.
And I might have to say, so this is one of the games we even tried to get in October.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this one.
So we might, or at least I might be a bit of a hype victim there, because I also already read that people were really excited about this and really happy with it, and it's alright. It's not like, wow, this is like the best thing ever that happened.
No, but we're spoiled too.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, this is a very, very solid game, and it actually, well, it is in the range of Battlestar Galactica, but we bring up this one more just because you can play it with less players. Battlestar Galactica has its sweet spot at 5 people, or is, 6, but actually 5, an odd number is better. This one is really good with 3 or 4 as well, so it's more likely to be brought to the table.
Yeah, and also I think more people could enjoy this because, I mean, Battlestar, since...
if you haven't watched the series, it's
if you watch the series, it is very hard to create something that is more compelling at Battlestar, because it ties so well into the theme with its mechanics. This one does so as well, but this one obviously does not remind you of the series you may have seen and spent some hours.
Here's a fun fact. When we played Battlestar for the first time, I had never watched the series. I only watched it afterwards. And when we played this one, I had never watched Walking Dead. I haven't to this day. And it was way easier to get into this one than into Battlestar, just because of the theme and how much it is incorporated into the mechanics. I didn't get it as easily with Battlestar Galactica, why some characters do what and how moving things work.
That's kind of, this game has to explain to you what the characters are and what they do and where they come from. In Battlestar, they kind of expect you to know who is who, what are they doing, why they are able to throw nukes, and but that's what I meant starting off by saying that this game doesn't necessarily have wants you to like the characters. It just presents them, but it does so
as a tool.
It does so way better than Galactica does.
Yeah. So since we had the comparing now, which I'm totally throwing into experiences because that's what it is, let's talk about the experiences that we had with this game. So I'm going to start. First game, first round of me. I moved my mayor of the city from one spot to the other. Had to roll the dice. Dead. He didn't even have an action. Was like, okay. So yeah, that was like a wake up mechanism. Was like, what? Okay, now I really gotta think, and I really have to be present at the table because I just have one character. And later that game, I had a chance to get a second character, but the story on the Crossroad card was so horrible that I said, nope, I'm not gonna do it. And G, the guy who read the Crossroad card for me, was reading it so much in character that I was like, no, not gonna happen. So the thing was, there's a zombie-like creature that you meet at the supermarket behind the trash cans, and he's looking at you funny, and you could either be raped and then have another character, like a kid or something, or nothing happens and you run away. Guess what? I needed that second character so badly, but that story was so horrible that I said, nothing happens, I'm gonna run away. I was disgusted.
Yeah.
and appalled by that story. And he read it so well that I was like, no, not gonna happen. I'm gonna run. So yeah, that was horribly cool. The first game.
There are some. I should have said that there are
Yeah.
some of these cards apparently that are quite disturbing for some people. The crossword cards actually come with a little icon that
Yeah,
give you a hint
you can take
of
them out.
you may take out the ones that are super offensive.
But then again, life is offensive, so
But
yeah. But
then-
it was just
Then again, this game can be very lighthearted and fun.
Yeah.
And that is the other moment where you played Sparky.
Oh yeah, I played Sparky in the second round.
And there was another crossroads card, but that one was so generic and it just says your survivor finds other survivors and asks them to join the colony. And if you're playing with Sparky, it's like, okay, this is a genuine Leslie moment, is it? It's like whoop, 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 whoop. Obviously, Sparky was looking at them while he held a handgun. In his
He was equipped with a Colt 9 or 611 or something, and he has such a nice cape. So I think he just waved with a cape with his tail and told the people to come.
Who needs Revolver Ocelot if you can have Revolver Sparky?
Yeah, well, we cracked up on the table, like everybody, laughing so hard when that card came up. But I mean, we didn't use the cards that often because it just didn't. We were not in the situation that you had to use the cards on. But whenever we had that card, it really made for either good laughs, multicolored curses, or any physical reaction to the card, and it brought the game kind of alive, if you know what I mean. It's just like suddenly everybody was thinking, how can I, when I had the cards, like a bit of a quiet moment there while everybody tries to figure out what they're going to do this turn, and then this crossroad card happens and everybody's like awake and at the game is like and has a genuine reaction. That was really a lot of fun. So of course there were multicolored curses as well at our ability or disability to roll dice, especially the red one. That's that's a bitch, I gotta say.
With the ability dice, so with the blue ones, you may also spend food token to increase one by a value of one. But the red one you cannot really influence at all.
No. And even the frostbites, they seem so more like a normal wound when you get them, but once it's your turn again and you still have that frostbite, you get another wound. And on the third one, you're dead, which could be quite difficult. Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, you can...
Those are just bad.
There's an action I didn't mention, but it's easily or natural done in the game. Is you can ask others to help you by receiving an equipment card, but you have to play them. So that's in there so that you may not get cards from other players to hoard them for your secret agenda and do that. But something like a frostbite, you can easily help other players out by playing medicine.
But the thing that I had the frostbite, and my secret agenda said that I had to have 3 medicine in my hand once the game ended, and I had 1. And we were pretty close to the end of the game, and I was really torn between, am I going to play it or am I going to keep it? And I asked if somebody could help me out with my frostbite. So luckily, Stocky was able to pretty much heal me, and then we were already done with the game, and I was like, no, I didn't have my agenda. It's like, guys, this is the first round that we play the game, so I just want to collect some experience things for the Gamers Couch shoot. Can we have another round? So I went to the supermarket and searched and searched and searched. And I had so many noise tokens in the end. But I finally got the 2 medicine spots so that we actually won the game. So
Yeah,
that was cool.
There's
And we never had a traitor, by the way, in all the rounds. I don't know if we mentioned that already. We didn't have any traitors.
Yeah, the weird part about this game is you get to the point where you say, okay, I'm probably not either you're not going to make your own hidden agenda, and then the question is, do you still want to help the others out, or is it like if I lose, everybody loses, but you're not a traitor in that regard? But there's certainly the possibility that you're at a point in the game saying, I'm not able to fulfill whatever I have to do because it is too risky to get to some place and get the item card you need, or it is almost impossible to get rid of the cards you have on hand. I think G had that once where he had
he was really struggling in the last game. I mean, we did win the overall agenda, but not the hidden ones. Oh no, we did win the hidden ones, but not the overall agenda. So, but it was really like one spot that was occupied by zombies that was not to be occupied for the win.
I think the tension and the enjoyment of the game heavily depends then on the type of people you're playing with.
Yeah.
Are they folks saying, I'm going to sacrifice myself and have the group win, or are these people saying, I want to win my part, and you may lose. But then again, if everybody may lose, including them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it makes for a weird pacing. I think if pacing
it's
is
like
the right
waves.
word for that. Yeah.
It feels like it comes in waves. Like you have one of the round crisis cards that is doable, so it's rather smooth and slow, and you collect a few items. You don't have the board overflowing with zombies yet, so you're good. And then one shitty thing happens, and it's like sparks, and it's like woo, and you are really tense.
I mean,
and really gotta get there.
Every player will lie at one point or another.
That's human nature.
Due to the hidden agenda, but that did not feel as impactful as it does as being the traitor in, let's say, Galactica, or maybe even this game. It's like the necessary evil was saying, I can't really help, and it is the truth, kind of, because you may be able to solve the crisis, but you kind of expect everybody to take the hit because you cannot contribute.
Yeah, on
the card you want to keep.
On the other hand, there might just be that point that I had in the last game, where you really can't help and nobody can rely on you because you got no cards. So, couldn't collect any, but that was not my hidden secret agenda, so that was fine. I just had to have one survivor that was healthy and equipped, and that was with a gun, and Sparky did that. So that was okay. So I didn't need to have any cards, and I got rid of them in helping out with the first goals. And at one point, I didn't draw any new cards. I was like, no. So yeah, that was kind of no way to choose anything if you don't have any cards. So, are we choosing to wrap up, or are you going to say anything?
No. I think
we're good.
We'll continue playing this game, but we will most likely change the rules a little bit.
For the traitor, I want to have a traitor at one point.
In fact, while you're saying the closing words, here's the variants. So there's a couple of different variants mentioned in here. There's, for example, one that goes only cooperative by making the game a little bit harder. But then, just having no traitor in there at all. Yeah, the traitor variant that says to just take one card per player to just have the chances for a traitor to be there. Then there's the hardcore variant. So these objective cards come with two sides, and I think it's getting quite bright outside. So
Yeah,
you may not
the
be able
sun
to
is
see
coming up.
anything at all ever. Yeah, it's the dead of winter, I guess. Huh?
Yeah. There's the sun, which was not supposed to come out.
Yeah, so this card that you cannot see because it's the
bright
the solar eclipse or the what was it called? The Sonnenfinsternis. The
solar eclipse.
Was it solar eclipse?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Whatever, that thing where the moon is in front of the sun.
That was supposed to be done already. So these cards come with a red exclamation mark side, which is the more difficult side if you want to.
Yeah, let me wrap up quickly. The sun's coming up and we will look like ghosts or zombies. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section below. Maybe you just want to let us know how you like the game. That would be very interesting for us to know. So feel free to write anything in the comments and sorry for that. Also, it would help a lot if you liked and or shared this video, because it lets us know that we're on the right path and that we actually produce content that you're interested in. Also, if you haven't already, why not subscribe to the channel? I got lots of art videos and cooking videos for you, and we do the gaming videos every Sunday for you to keep you entertained. And if you want to see any work in progress or any games that we play on the day that we play it, just check out the Google Plus page or Instagram. I'm sometimes even posting them on Facebook, but not regularly, so just check out all the other social media and connect. So,
and don't be mistaken, even if you don't say anything, we keep on doing these because these are still we talk about games we play.
That's true. But we do have a camera with it. We might...
Really?
Otherwise we... Otherwise we might just do it without the camera. That sounds dirty again. So, enough. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great Sunday. Take good care and see you next week.